The contractors are incorrect about ground fault circuit interrupters and arc fault circuit interrupters. According to the 2020 National Electrical Code, ground fault circuit interrupters can indeed be installed on arc fault circuit interrupter circuits. The 2020 National Electrical Code specifically addresses this issue in Section 210.12d, which states that arc fault circuit interrupters shall not be installed where the likelihood of nuisance tripping is high. These areas include, but are not limited to, bathrooms, kitchens, garages, laundry areas, recreation rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, and similar areas. However, the code continues by saying that arc fault circuit interrupters shall be permitted to be installed in these areas where nuisance tripping can be reduced. This essentially means that arc fault circuit interrupters can be installed in bedrooms, but you should take steps to reduce the likelihood of nuisance tripping. One way to do this is to install ground fault circuit interrupters on the same circuit as the arc fault circuit interrupter. Ground fault circuit interrupters are less likely to nuisance trip than arc fault circuit interrupters, so they can help prevent the arc fault circuit interrupter from tripping unnecessarily. In the specific case of a lavatory located in a bedroom, it is permissible to install both an arc fault circuit interrupter and a ground fault circuit interrupter on the same circuit. This provides the best possible protection against electrical hazards while minimizing the risk of nuisance tripping. To further elaborate on the relationship between arc fault circuit interrupters and ground fault circuit interrupters, and how they function together, it's important to understand their individual roles in electrical safety. An arc fault circuit interrupter is designed to detect dangerous electrical arcs, which are unintentional electrical discharges that can occur when insulation is damaged, wires are loose, or connections are faulty. These arcs can generate intense heat and are a leading cause of electrical fires. Arc fault circuit interrupters work by monitoring the electrical current flowing through the circuit and looking for unusual patterns or signatures that indicate the presence of an arc fault. When an arc fault is detected, the arc fault circuit interrupter quickly trips the circuit, cutting off the flow of electricity and preventing a fire from starting. A ground fault circuit interrupter, on the other hand, is designed to protect people from electrical shock. It works by monitoring the balance of current flowing through the hot and neutral wires of a circuit. Under normal conditions, the current flowing through these two wires should be equal. However, if a ground fault occurs, meaning that electricity is leaking to ground through a person or a conductive object, a portion of the current will return through a different path. This imbalance in current is detected by the ground fault circuit interrupter, which then quickly trips the circuit, cutting off the flow of electricity and preventing a potentially fatal electrical shock. In the context of the 2020 National Electrical Code, the allowance for installing ground fault circuit interrupters on arc fault circuit interrupter circuits is a practical solution to a common problem. Arc fault circuit interrupters, while highly effective at preventing electrical fires, can sometimes be prone to nuisance tripping. This means that they may trip the circuit even when there is no actual arc fault present, causing inconvenience and frustration for homeowners. One of the reasons for nuisance tripping is that arc fault circuit interrupters are very sensitive to electrical noise and other disturbances on a circuit. These disturbances can sometimes be misinterpreted as arc faults, leading to unnecessary tripping. By installing a ground fault circuit interrupter on the same circuit, you can reduce the likelihood of nuisance tripping. Ground fault circuit interrupters are less sensitive to electrical noise than arc fault circuit interrupters, so they can help to filter out some of the disturbances that might otherwise cause the arc fault circuit interrupter to trip. In addition to reducing nuisance tripping, installing a ground fault circuit interrupter on an arc fault circuit interrupter circuit also provides an additional layer of safety. While arc fault circuit interrupters are designed to prevent electrical fires, they do not protect against electrical shock. Ground fault circuit interrupters, on the other hand, are specifically designed to protect against electrical shock. By having both types of protection in place, you can significantly reduce the risk of both electrical fires and electrical shocks. When installing ground fault circuit interrupters on arc fault circuit interrupter circuits, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations. This includes using the correct wiring methods, properly grounding the circuit, and ensuring that all connections are tight and secure. It is also important to test the ground fault circuit interrupter and arc fault circuit interrupter regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. To reiterate, in areas where nuisance tripping of arc fault circuit interrupters is a concern, such as bedrooms or areas with sensitive electronic equipment, installing a ground fault circuit interrupter on the same circuit can provide a more reliable and safer electrical system. The ground fault circuit interrupter can help to filter out some of the electrical noise that might otherwise cause the arc fault circuit interrupter to trip, while still providing protection against electrical shock. It is essential to consult with a qualified electrician to determine the best way to implement this type of configuration in a specific application. An electrician can assess the existing electrical system, identify any potential issues, and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. Furthermore, an electrician can provide guidance on selecting the appropriate ground fault circuit interrupter and arc fault circuit interrupter for the application, as well as provide instructions on how to test and maintain the devices. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to leave it to the professionals. Attempting to perform electrical work yourself can result in serious injury or even death. In summary, the 2020 National Electrical Code allows for the installation of ground fault circuit interrupters on arc fault circuit interrupter circuits in certain situations. This configuration can help to reduce nuisance tripping of arc fault circuit interrupters while still providing protection against electrical shock. When implementing this type of configuration, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations and to consult with a qualified electrician. Now let's delve a little deeper into the technical aspects of arc fault circuit interrupters and ground fault circuit interrupters. Firstly, arc fault circuit interrupters are sophisticated devices that use advanced signal processing techniques to detect the unique signatures of arc faults. They are designed to distinguish between harmless electrical noise and the telltale patterns of dangerous arcs. There are generally two main types of arc fault circuit interrupters. Firstly, branch feeder arc fault circuit interrupters, and secondly, combination arc fault circuit interrupters. Branch feeder arc fault circuit interrupters provide protection against parallel arcs, which occur between two conductors, and series arcs, which occur within a single conductor. Combination arc fault circuit interrupters provide the same protection as branch feeder arc fault circuit interrupters, but they also include additional circuitry to detect ground faults. Ground fault circuit interrupters, as mentioned earlier, work by monitoring the balance of current between the hot and neutral wires. They are designed to trip when the difference in current exceeds a certain threshold, typically 5 milliamps. This threshold is low enough to protect people from electrical shock, but high enough to avoid nuisance tripping due to minor leakage currents. There are two main types of ground fault circuit interrupters. Firstly, receptacle type ground fault circuit interrupters, and secondly, circuit breaker type ground fault circuit interrupters. Receptacle type ground fault circuit interrupters are installed in place of standard electrical outlets and provide protection only at that specific location. Circuit breaker type ground fault circuit interrupters are installed in the electrical panel and provide protection for the entire circuit. When installing ground fault circuit interrupters and arc fault circuit interrupters, it is important to consider the specific requirements of the National Electrical Code. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical wiring and equipment. It is updated every 3 years and is widely adopted by state and local jurisdictions in the United States. The National Electrical Code specifies the types of circuits that require arc fault circuit interrupter protection, as well as the types of locations where ground fault circuit interrupters are required. It also provides detailed instructions on how to install and test these devices. For example, the National Electrical Code requires arc fault circuit interrupter protection for all branch circuits that supply dwelling unit bedrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, family rooms, recreation rooms, and similar areas. It also requires ground fault circuit interrupter protection for all receptacles located in bathrooms, kitchens, garages, and other wet or damp locations. In addition to the National Electrical Code, there may be other state and local codes that apply to electrical installations. It is important to check with the local authorities to determine the specific requirements in your area. To ensure that ground fault circuit interrupters and arc fault circuit interrupters are functioning properly, it is important to test them regularly. Ground fault circuit interrupters can be tested by pressing the test button on the device. This will simulate a ground fault and cause the device to trip. If the device does not trip when the test button is pressed, it should be replaced. Arc fault circuit interrupters can be tested using a special arc fault circuit interrupter tester. This tester generates a simulated arc fault and verifies that the arc fault circuit interrupter trips. If the arc fault circuit interrupter does not trip when the tester is used, it should be replaced. It is also important to visually inspect ground fault circuit interrupters and arc fault circuit interrupters periodically for any signs of damage or wear. If any damage is found, the device should be replaced. In conclusion, ground fault circuit interrupters and arc fault circuit interrupters are essential safety devices that protect against electrical shock and electrical fires. When installing and maintaining these devices, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations and to test them regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. Remember, it's always advisable to consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work to ensure safety and compliance with the latest electrical codes. Electrical safety is paramount, and understanding the proper application of arc fault circuit interrupters and ground fault circuit interrupters is crucial for preventing electrical hazards. Knowing the nuances of the National Electrical Code and local regulations, performing regular testing, and seeking professional guidance are all vital components of a safe electrical system.